I'm a real deal. I'll shoot your liver out and hand it to you.
For the 93rd time, I believe, I have Chad Sholders joining the podcast again. Chad, what's up, man?
How you doing, Nate? What's going on?
I think you're here more than Demetrius at this point.
You know, it's pretty fun though. I enjoy the company. So.
Yeah, the podcasts are fun. They're I've been on I don't know 4, 5, 6 of them at this point. They're a fun thing to do.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, and I mean, considering I'm a schizophrenic chameleon doing something new every 3 weeks, it's no wonder I'm always talking to you on these podcasts.
Yeah, and speaking of doing a thing or something new each week, I'm glad that I got you this week, because probably by next week what we're going to be talking about isn't even going to be relevant anymore. So I think we hit the window.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're bringing you on to talk about Havoc Productions. Yay. So,
Yep.
Of course, we got to have the first question be, what the beep is Havoc Productions?
Yep. Well, it's a new concept that I launched just last week on the 20th of October. And Havoc Productions is, generally speaking, it's more than just a tournament series. But what I want to talk to you about today is this Blood, Sweat, and Tears series that we launched. But the company that I launched is all about pool. So, tournaments, exhibitions, challenges, events that we can put on throughout the country to grow the game. And one of the biggest things that I decided I could do to grow the game was this Blood, Sweat, and Tears tournament series, that is going to culminate in about 14 months with $1 million event that I'm going to host here in Denver. So I'm really excited about this concept. I've wanted to do something like this for quite some time. Probably the biggest reason is what we all know is the exposure, the money, the sponsors in this sport they're just not there. And one of the reasons I feel like they're not there is because there's not enough money in the sport to get the attention of the general public.
For sure. And there is a discussion we could have as to why there's not more corporate money into this game, but that is a discussion that will not take place right now, because sure. We could spend about a week on that one. And I think we'd both come up with a lot of the same conclusions for that.
Sure. And that's not to say that the sponsors that do get involved in the game aren't awesome. The problem is they're already involved in the game, but having the outside sponsorship money is something that hasn't been around for quite some time. And I think once we grow the sport a little bit and we bring the general public into the bring pool into their crosshairs a little bit, $1 million gets a lot of people's attention.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
So,
well, I should say, yes, that's a really good way of putting it. We appreciate all the money that stays in the industry, of course, with, Q-Tech, Predator, Fury. Those are 3 people that sponsored some of my recent events, but other places like Simonis, Diamond, Aramith, all of those different companies that regularly spend money inside of the industry. We, of course, appreciate those, but and I'm blanking on who said it at this point, but a good pool hall basically has the same $20 being handed from player to player.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And the idea is, it's like Roberto wins it this week, and then Danny wins it the next week, and then Shane wins it the next week. And really all you're doing is you're handing $20 back and forth between all the players. The unit might change. We might be talking 10,000. We might be talking 5,000. But it's kind of a closed industry that we have, meaning we don't have outside money coming in, and we have money going out of it,
sure.
Via just regular expenses, right? So at some point in time, if we're going to expand this game, we are going to need to start getting some more outside money into this game, because we see what the industry can do, and it's a decent amount, it's a good amount, but it's not enough, right?
That's absolutely right. And I just gave up when I tried to put a few events together where I got some small sponsors for it. And, and I just said, this just isn't worth trying. I talked to some pretty big breweries, and I've talked to some pretty big, automakers and things like that. And, and the honest truth is I thought, I think I'm just going to have to do this myself. And then maybe they'll be calling me as soon as I get this thing together. As soon as we need an airline partner, then maybe they'll be calling. When we need a brewery partner, maybe they'll be calling. But, I just said, I'm not going to wait for them. I'm not going to look for them. I'm going to spend my time working with pool players and just try to build the industry, help to build the industry as best I can. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't say you did an outstanding job on that Poison VG10 tournament. I really enjoyed it. I thought that you broadcast that beautifully. The sponsors that were involved were awesome, and I just thought it was just a great all around event. So I say congratulations on the first time trying that one.
Well, I thank you. It was a blast, and of course you were in the event and put on a great show for us. You had the highest made ball to least run out ratio of all the players involved.
Yeah, that's like the Kiss Your Sister award right there, man. That was tough. I could not get on that 2-ball to save my life, and my brake wasn't working. It was tough. But man, what a tough format! What a fun event. I mean, it was super fun. I mean, and I know Danny and I played out of the same room, and I know he enjoyed playing in it too. And it was it was a really, really good time. But anyway, I wanted to mention
we are here to talk about Havoc.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
So the way that you described it, you said it was, of course, we're going to be talking about the blood, sweat, and tears, emphasis on the tears. But until we get to that, I want to ask a couple questions beside that, because that's not all you're doing. You want to do showcases, you said, challenge matches. You're really, it's less about, I shouldn't say, I think the predominant focus is going to be on the blood, sweat, and tears, but that is not to take away from the other things that you're doing to try to grow the industry as well. So you said that you did a challenge match recently that wasn't officially part of Havoc, but do you have anything else as far as challenge matches, showcases, anything like that you have coming up in the near future that you would like to talk about here?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things I'm working on, or people that I'm talking to. One, I mentioned the Shane McMahon, Danny Olson match that we put together. That was basically the very first challenge match that Havoc was ever really involved with, and I thought it went really, really well. And then Roberto Gomez and I are talking about doing something really fun out here in Denver. We haven't got the date quite figured out because our schedules have been so crazy, but the challenges, and it's going to be tough, but I'm going to be playing Roberto the Ghost. But the only difference is he's going to play on a 9-foot table and I'm going to play on a 7-foot table, and we're going to play Race to 50 Ghost and see how that one goes. And then I'm in conversations with, I don't have anything locked up, but I'm in conversations with Wei Zuchen and Kelly Fisher about coming out to the U.S. and doing a tour of events where some exhibitions around the country, try and pick some good cities. We haven't gotten too far in the discussion other than to say that they're really interested in coming out and doing it, and they'd love to be here to put something together. And I know Kelly, and I just think she's awesome, and I think she'd be perfect for growing the sport. And one of the reasons we want to do these kinds of things is we want to bring pool back to the mainstream audience, back to a general audience that probably doesn't even know the real rules of pool. They play bar pool or when they're drinking a beer, but they don't understand that this is a truly competitive sport. And to have an opportunity to see, a guy like Roberto Gomez, who's a total showman, and he's funny and he's entertaining and everything else, and watch how good he plays. And, just the rank amateur is going to really enjoy something like that. Now, the avid pool player and fan like you and I are going to be at the edge of our seats, watching the end of that Van Boning Arcolo match that just ended. What a thriller that was. And but the ordinary fan is going to be like, you're going to be like, oh, was that hard? So to me, it's like, okay, it starts at the bottom. It doesn't start at the top. It starts at the bottom, in my view. We bring the amateurs up. We show them how to play the game. We bring some professionals in through to get them excited about the game. We help them build their skill level. We help them, we give them opportunities to compete and understand what it's like to be rewarded in the game. And, so that's what these challenges and exhibitions are about. It's about bringing the amateur into the fold in a way that they can take something out of it.
Absolutely. So, when we're talking about, so I guess that transitions us perfectly into the blood, sweat, and tears. Tell us a little bit about.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah, you're a lot smarter than people give you credit for, Chad. I'm telling you what.
Not a chance.
Of course the the normal saying is blood, sweat, and tears, TEARS, crying tears, but that's not the way you have tears spelled. So why do you have tears spelled TIERS?
Okay. All right, great question. So the idea is that it's going to be a series of qualifiers where a player like yourself might come into a pool room where we're having a blood, sweat, and tear event, and it might be it would be tier 1. And in order for you to make it to the top, in order for you to get into the cash tournaments, you have to move through a series of qualifiers. So you would come in and play in a tier 1 event. If you finished in the top 25%, then you would earn yourself a tier 2 token, and that would give you the ability to register into any tier 2 event around the country. And if you finish in the top 25% of that one, you can get a tier 3 token, and so on. And so the only tokens that you're allowed to buy on Havoc are tier 1. You have to work your way through the rest. You can't buy your way to the top. So everybody has to work just as hard to get into these events. And so cash events will be starting at the tier 4 level. So we'll be doing 32-player, $30,000 purse events at the tier 4 level, $60,000 events, and $125,000 events at the tier 4 level. And we're about to announce the first one in the next 30 days. So tier 5 is where the $1 million event is going to land. So if you have, like, the idea would be to start stockpiling tokens. So if you had 2 or 3 tier 4 tokens and you see the $1 million event, okay, I want to play in that, hit click, and you're in because you've earned it with a tier 5 token. Or if you have a tier 5 token, you enter, or you have to play in a tier 4 event to get into that event. So you look at it, go, okay, I want to play this $125,000 event that I can just click and do it, or I want to gamble that token to try and get to the $1 million event. So there's going to always be an event going on. So as soon as we announce this first one, in the next 30 days, we're going to be announcing another one probably in 90 days after that. And it's going to depend on which area is hot. So let's say that I've got some people down in Tampa, Florida that are running a bunch of tournaments down there, and I see just a tremendous number of qualifiers happening down there. I'll call a room owner down there and say, hey, let's do a $60,000 event in Tampa. Let's go ahead and launch it. And we'll decide whether it's going to be 8-ball, 9-ball, or 10-ball, and we'll market it and we'll get people qualified, and off we go. And the idea behind this is that the tokens are universal. So if you were to play a 10-ball qualifier, that doesn't mean that you couldn't play in an 8-ball tournament the next time with the token that you earned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's the idea behind this whole thing. And, it's a proven concept in other sports. It's a proven concept in other things. And I just brought it here to this game because I feel like it could work. It doesn't have to be, that difficult, to put big tournaments together, as long as there's a vision that's pretty unified as when we're doing it.
Definitely. So when we're talking about these tiers, so let me just clarify it, and hopefully I have the right idea. I play in a tier 1. I purchase a tier 1 token. I take that token and I use it online to try to qualify for a tier 2 token. If I place in the top 25% of my event in the tier 1, I then gain, or I earn, a tier 2 token. I then use that tier 2 token at a tier 2 event, and then I place in the top 25% again, getting me a tier 3 token. At that point in time, I use my tier 3 token again in a tier 3 event, which then qualifies me for the money round, which is a tier 4 event, which I can use at any given time. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And so the tier 4 token comes with, that is your entry fee. The token is your entry fee. The tier 3 token is your entry fee. So you don't have to buy anything after tier 1. Everything above that is earned. So, you've earned it from winning. And the way we're starting these out, is just little 8-player tournaments, to get people qualified, with the top 2 moving on. And so basically anytime we do a single elimination tournament, if you do the math, a top 25%, all that means is win 2 matches and you're in. So it could be 128 players in a single elimination qualifier at tier 1, and the top 32 move in by winning their first 2 matches. So, so basically that's all you got to do to keep moving forward. Win 2 matches, move on. Win 2 matches, move on.
Okay. So going into your, I guess let's start with this question. There's no money given away at tier 1, 2, or 3. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
But you leave open the opportunity to either do side pots or Calcuttas on the day of the events, I'm assuming?
That'll be up to the local tournament directors if they want to do those kinds of things. That they're more than willing to do it. If they're more than welcome to do it if the tournament director and or pool room is willing to do it. I'm totally fine with that. We won't have anything to do with that.
Okay, so
that'd be a completely external thing. But I would support that.
Now,
the one. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. I'll ask you a new question afterwards.
Okay. The other thing that's really, really important to mention is, and maybe this was your next question, was everything is handicapped. There's nothing is a straight race. It's all handicapped using Fargo rate. So we're going to build this in a way that gives the lower ranked player just as good of an opportunity to be successful in this format as a top professional.
Got you. Well, my question then is, so you've mentioned that you've had 8-ball events, 9-ball events, 10-ball events. It sounds like, and you mentioned this earlier, single elimination. Well, maybe I should word it this way. How strict are you about the format of the event along the way? Each individual tier, I should say.
Well, that is a good question. And basically what I've done is in the website, I've created some guidelines for the qualifiers versus the cash events. And the qualifiers that I've been running have been single elimination simply because I want to be able to get people to move through and get them qualified a little faster to give us the ability to hold another event that same day. But if pool rooms want to do double elimination, they certainly can. If all they ever did was 8-ball, that's fine. If they wanted to do 8-ball one day, 9-ball the next, that's fine. If they wanted to do 8-ball on the front and 9-ball on the loser side, they can do that too. I'm really flexible as long as the tournament is run with the criteria that only multiples of 4 can play, so that we end up with the top 25% moving on every time, and that they do and that they handicap the tournaments fairly. Because a lot of people are going to jump into these tournaments without a Fargo rate, so we have to get them qualified, we get them established through these qualifiers through Fargo. And so what I'm counting on these local tournament directors that we're vetting from state to state is that they use a known ability handicap during these qualifiers, and we will be reporting all these scores to Fargo so that we can take these players with no rating or a preliminary rating and get them to that established level.
And that makes sense. Okay, so then the natural question from there must lead to, well, I guess the question I have next is, this sounds like basically what most pool halls are doing around the state and, well, around the country with weekly events. Is that kind of maybe your goal with maybe incorporating into some of these like weekly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever events, where instead of playing a $10 entry fee or a $20 entry fee, you decide to reincorporate and get yourselves tier 1 tokens? Is that something that you've thought about?
It is. And, as I'm talking to pool room owners around the country, I've had conversations with about a dozen of them so far. The idea is what day of the week is slow for you? How can I help you build some business in your pool hall? Or if they want to replace a tournament with something like this, they're more than happy to. They can do that, no problem. They can even tie them together, similar to what you were saying, where a side pot, they could almost combine it, where if they registered through my event and then they played a tournament, a side tournament, they could be doing both at the same time, earning money and tokens at the same time. If the director wanted to go through that, it might be a little bit of brain damage, but if they wanted to organize it that way, they certainly could. My goal is to get pool rooms filled up. Without this whole pandemic thing, man, it's been really, really hard on a lot of rooms, and a lot of them aren't even open yet. And man, I would really, really like to see them, fill up their pool halls with players that are paying a reasonable green fee to them. And I'm also paying the tournament directors to run these events. So, to get them a little extra revenue and to get them a little more, a little more business in the door is definitely a goal of mine.
Got you. All right, so let's move on from there. We have a pretty good idea on the tier 1, 2, and 3. So theoretically, I play in one of your events, your tier 1. I win it. I play in your tier 2. I get second. I play in your tier 3. I get third with a big enough field. And now I have myself a tier 4 token. You said earlier that the tournaments for these are around 32 players. Is that right?
Well, it depends. We're going to do a 32 player, $30,000 event. We're going to, at the tier 4 level, we're going to do a 64 player, 60,000 and a 128 player, $125,000 event at tier 4. Those are the 3 formats at tier 4 that we're going to be doing. And those will be 8-ball, 9-ball, or 10-ball, depending on where we do it and what the preference is in that area. And then at tier 5, we're going to be doing 3 different types of events. We're going to be doing a 16 player, $64,000 event, a 32 player, $125,000 event, and then a 256 for the million. So then we're going to limit it at that. So those are the 6 formats that we're going to go with to start. But if we come up with a better way to do it, or if we come up with a better idea, we'll initiate another format. We're also going to, as we announce these, we're probably going to be announcing very soon, probably the second event will be a tier 4 event. It'll more than likely be like a Fargo 500 and down for 32 players for 30,000. I really, really, really want to push that lower ranked player to challenge themselves to get better at this game and really participate. And just putting all the money in there so that the top players can take it all the time is not a goal of mine. It's really to reward hard work. You know, one of the slogans on the website is how hard are you willing to work? It's not going to be easy to get to that $1 million event, but if you work your butt off, I want to see you prosper. And that goes for the people that can't necessarily, run 6 racks in a row.
Well, so then the question becomes, is even the tier 5 $1 million, is that still going to be Fargo rate handicap?
It is. And let me explain how I'm doing it so people can I think people get really excited about it. I'm really glad you asked me that. We're taking 256 players. And they're all Fargo rated. But the very top Fargo rated player that is in the tournament is number 1 on our board. The lowest ranked Fargo rated player is 256. All right. We're taking them linearly top to bottom. Then we're taking 16 players top to bottom. We're creating 16 sub brackets in order of Fargo rate. We're scrambling those brackets and doing a random draw double elimination down to 4 players in each sub bracket. As soon as we get to that, we're at 64 players, scrambling all 64 of those players into a redraw for all of it. Basically, if you make it to that redraw, you're in the cash. The 64th place pays $4,375 and first place pays $200,000. Now, what ends up happening as a result of this is you end up with 4 players from every single skill level in the sport in the money. And to me, that is really important because you can't build this sport just by watching the best players get all the money all the time in an amateur. And this is really pro-am, anybody could play, but it's really based on amateurs and the success that they'll have.
Got you. So then I have to ask the question as a frustrated higher-ish level Fargo player at 662, I believe is what I'm at these days. Why, if we're going to handicap it along the whole way, why do we have to start isolating out 500 and unders, 550 and unders, et cetera, et cetera? And I only say this because I see this in Wisconsin big time where my ability to play the game is completely delegated out to where I can only play about once every 2 months. I find it concerning slightly that we are going to start doing this at a national level as well.
Start doing tournaments that are limited on.
So double handicapping, right? So you're not only handicapping the events, but you're handicapping who can play in them as well.
Oh yeah, well I think to be clear, that's just going to be one of the formats that'll be opportune. One of the things that'll happen in this, we'll do a 16 player tier 5 no handicap limit. We'll do a $125,000 no handicap limit. But we're going to introduce occasionally ones where we limit the Fargo rate, simply because I don't want people to be afraid to play. I really don't. I want them to have an opportunity to participate and be rewarded for it. So this, in other words, if you have a pool room that is nothing but B and C players that play league every week and that's all they do and they really want to participate, they could get all the way to the $1 million event. They could get all the way to a tier 4 cash event and never play outside their skill level. Now once they get to the big one, once they get to these real big ones, and by the way, we'll never have a tier 5 event that is going to be limited on handicap. Never. So tier 4 is where we'll do those.
Okay.
So, but I think that might make you feel a little bit better about things. But the idea of getting to that $1 million event, and you say you're a 450 Fargo or a 510 Fargo, you have an opportunity to succeed in that tournament. You're not dead money, and I don't want people to work that hard and be dead money walking in the door.
Correct. That makes sense. Yep. And I love the idea of giving everybody a chance. As a player who has been delegated out of the events, I'm not afraid of playing a 450 with 100% handicap, right? Because that gives me a chance to play my best game and beat that player who's also playing, maybe their medium game, right? If you're playing 100% handicap, I'm not afraid of, losing to somebody because I played poorly.
Sure.
I mean, these are just grievances right now that I'm putting out there, but the idea is I love the idea of having everybody together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Let me give you an example. I mean, let's just use a crazy example. Let's say Shane Van Boening plays in this thing, qualifies, gets into the $1 million event, and gets through in his top 4, and he makes the redraw. And my wife Abby, who's a 463 Fargo player, gets through her bracket and makes the redraw and draws Shane first round. All right, that is a 20-4 race, alternate break. I can guarantee you he doesn't like it. I mean, so it's it's not like these races are set up to where the best player is just gonna run over, the lower handicap player in any event. With an alternate break format, anything can happen, and it really is fair. And I think, to be fair, Mike Page has done a really, really good job building Fargo rate. I've heard a lot of people say this and a lot of people say that about it. Man, he's done a great job with it. And it's very rare that I see a match go on that's Fargo rated where somebody says that wasn't right.
It's right more than it's wrong. That's what I always say.
You're exactly right. It's right more than it's wrong.
Yeah. For every one situation you can point to and say, well, clearly Fargo has no idea what they're talking about because of this. You can always point to 17,000 other matches where, Fargo says this happened and then it did, right? So
right, yeah, and I respect what he's built there, and I'm glad he's letting us use it to for what we're doing, and it's and I understand how the handicapping algorithms were built, and it does make sense. So it's not just some willy-nilly random thing that he put together. This is based on some science, and it has a proven track record in other sports. So it's a really, really solid handicapping system, and frankly I think it's the best one we got.
Yep. So I agree with that. So let's move on to the biggest struggle that I see from this industry when it comes to new ideas, new quote-unquote revolutionary ideas, is there's really no good medium when it comes to getting a message out to players. And I'm not talking about players like, to anybody who listens to the podcast. Let's just throw some random names out there. New Jersey pool player or Del Sim or people like that who actually, they follow along with the industry at a microscopic level. We're talking about Joe Schmo, who plays in a local APA Pennsylvania league, and he's a 3, but he likes the game and just wants to get more content, but has zero clue on how to actually do that. How do you begin reaching that person? Because that's what I feel is going to be your biggest hurdle as far as getting a new revolutionary style of league like this out there to the average pool player.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's not a league. It's more a tournament series. But I know what you mean. Yeah. It's a really good question, and to me, it's grassroots. To me, it's going to, pool room to pool room and working with them individually every single week to bring in new directors and new locations and tailor to their needs. So creating an environment where if they're like, say, a big, lower level amateur league bar where most of their patrons are, like you say, those APA 3s, 4s, and 5s or whatever, then we can create some tournaments that can be done in a reasonable amount of time, that can get these people through the qualifying, and try to build something for that pool room. We get into another room that, say, one of the pool rooms down here in Denver that has, there's constantly the best players in Colorado that are always in this one room. Well, maybe we go in there and we create a big table tournament series for those guys. That's just a little bit different, as far as qualifying. Just structure the qualifying tournaments in such a way that they're entertaining to the players that are playing in them. And that's going to take a lot of work on my side, but I'm willing to put the time in. And the idea is to add 1 to 2 tournament directors every week or 10 days, to around the country, so that we can slowly and methodically and accurately put this together. I don't want just everybody going like wildfire, and just jumping towards the middle on me, because then it's just going to be too much. I want it to be pretty well structured.
Yeah. And I should say, there are a lot of tournament directors that I know that listen to this podcast regularly. I can give a couple shout outs to like Brett Snowden, Gloria Jean, people like that who regularly run events out of their local pool rooms, or sometimes they travel a little bit more. I know there's a couple others that used to, so I don't know if they still listen to the podcast, so I won't give them a shout out. But there are lots of, and my loyalty is, it's so shallow. But so if one of those people were interested in trying to learn how to become a tournament director and start running some of these events out of their pool rooms, out of their local bars, how would they go about starting that process?
Well, the first thing that I'd want them to do is take a look at the website, which is havocbilliards.com. And we built an FAQ page for that exact thing. There's a tournament director tab on the FAQ page that talks about how they might want to get started. Once they've read that, I'd love for them to take a look at the tournament guidelines that's on the website as well, so they understand a little bit what we're about. And then all they have to do is shoot me a message. If we're friends on Facebook, they can hit me there. They can get me on. They can contact me through the website, and all my information is right there. So there's a vetting process that we're going to go through. We're going to make sure that whoever we have running these tournaments is somebody that's capable, somebody that is going to commit to doing it the right way. To make sure they're going to report accurate data to us and everything else. But it's really not that difficult. In addition to that, you don't need to be a pool room owner to do it. You can be someone that just runs tournaments, or you can be a pool room owner that also runs tournaments. It doesn't matter to me. But the other thing is, I think I told you this before, is that we're paying for this. So if someone wants to make a little extra money, I'm paying people to run these events for me. So that's how people get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to to have a phone call or a Zoom call with anybody around the country that is interested in getting this started.
And I, of course, I'm truly excited to get involved with anything that I feel is going to be great for the pool industry. So if you need a tournament director in Wisconsin, I got your back, man.
I love it, man. You were going to be the first guy as soon as I'm ready to go there. You're just so busy with everything else. I don't even know how you sleep.
Pretty well, actually. I sleep all right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So if you out there, if any of this sounds interesting, of course, there is the website, and you gave it there. It is havocbilliards.com. You can go over and check it out. Where are you launched as of right now? So if I have a listener in, let's say, Dallas, Texas, is that listener available to be able to play in your event yet?
Not yet. Well, we launched on Tuesday. We launched the site officially last Tuesday, the 20th. On Thursday, we did our very first events in Colorado, which was on the 22nd. And then on Sunday, yesterday, we did the 25th. We did one event up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So those are the 2 locations that we've launched currently. And now I'm in conversations with people in Arizona, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, 2 places in Texas, Houston being one of them, and Upper East Texas being another, Wyoming. I'm leaving a couple out, but we're going to be releasing those areas and those regions soon. So if there's a pool room owner or director out there that feels like this is something that they could move along pretty quickly and pretty well and pretty efficiently in their area, they should get in touch with me so we can get them started.
What about Wisconsin? Didn't we just talk about it?
Well, we already talked about Wisconsin. Isn't that a done deal?
Sure, of course.
Well, I gotta vet you first for sure. Your vetting will take a little longer.
Yeah, there's some demons in that closet, man. I'm telling you, don't dig too deep. So, of course, so those are the places you can get hooked up right now, potentially to get involved with this league. Where are you looking at next, or do you have any places that you're looking at after this first wave? Or does it kind of depend on who steps up as far as tournament directors?
Well, I think it's going to be who steps up as far as who wants to be the next in, who wants to be next in and next up. But I've always said, here's one of the things that I've always said, pool is full of skeptics. And, and one of my favorite sayings in life that was taught to me by a business partner of mine is he said, something well done is better than well said. And so there's going to be a lot of people that are sitting there on the sidelines going, okay, well, let's see what he does with this. Let's see what he's going to do. And, so what I would encourage them to do is, if that's the way you feel, I totally respect that, but just pay attention, because I'm going to make this happen, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it pretty well. I really feel like it's going to go well. So I've got some people that I know and trust that I know will execute the things exactly the way we're looking to do it in the beginning. But then after that, we've got the template set. So, if it's something you're interested in, I really want to hear from you, because I want to make sure that players in your area have an opportunity to participate. I really hope this becomes a nationwide participation for that $1 million event. I don't want to host an event in Denver with $1 million purse and have 197 of them from Denver. I want to see people from all over the country participate, get in, and create an awesome tournament.
Correct. So you seem very open to suggestions. I'm going to make one suggestion. I want to see every 8 years, I want to see tier number 6. And tier number 6 is all of the tier 5 winners. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and have a battle of the champions. I've always wanted more of that in other sports, where you see, I've always thought it'd be really neat to have like the 4 majors for golf or for tennis. I always thought it'd be really neat to see, at the end of the year, some sort of charity event where all 4 of the major winners play a round robin tournament against each other in golf or tennis or something like that, just to raise money for charity, something like that. And just see all of the 4 different top players playing against each other. It'd be really cool to see, maybe the first 4 tier 5 winners play against each other. I think it'd be fun.
I think that'd be incredible. I think that's a really good suggestion. And the tier 6 concept is something I've been thinking about. I've been trying to go, okay, what does that really mean? And we go back. This is where we go back in my head. And I think, okay, hopefully by the time I get to that, I've got the sponsors are knocking on my door instead of me knocking on theirs, and we could put some real money together. I would love to see something like that. What about if the top 4 players from each, first through 4th place in all 4 events, first 4 events played a 16 player event for, if we got some sponsorship money in for $250,000 or something like that. I think that'd be incredible. And that's something that'd probably be televised.
Certainly. Yeah. I think there's a lot of really fun things that you could do in a tier format, where you could start having special tiers, like a special tier 6 for the champion of champions, something like that.
Sure. I think that'd be awesome. The other thing that I was thinking about doing is creating a pro-am, and allowing the winners of events to pair up with a professional for an exhibition. So, and that would come all the way down, like even tier 4 winners. Like tier 4 winners, tier 5 winners, all of our winners, put them into a pot. As soon as we have 8 of them, we could do an 8-player, or an 8-team pro-am, and we get 8 professionals to participate, and we put some real prize money behind it.
Or you could always have a tier P, which stands for tier podcasters. And you could put all of the podcasters in a match for $250,000.
Wow.
How much fun would that be? I could play against who can I play against? I could play against Mike Howerton. I could play against there's a new guy in Arizona. I don't know what his name is.
I know Joey Ryan.
Yeah, Joey.
Yeah.
Does he play good? Can I beat him?
He's sporty.
Dang it.
he plays pretty sporty.
I was hoping.
Yeah, he's right around that 700 range.
Oh crap. I got no chance. Never mind. This is a dumb idea.
Yeah.
This is a dumb idea.
Well, do tier P, but you got to be like east of the Mississippi or something.
There. Well, no, how about we'll cap that one at whatever my Fargo is.
Sounds smart.
Yeah,
sounds smart.
Of course, I want to feel special and be able to win. That's where, as pool players, we have this very, very fragile ego where we always need to win.
That is correct.
And that's the fun. So I guess that's a pretty good rundown of your new league. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about that maybe I didn't cover?
Yeah, well, the one thing that I wanted to make everybody aware of is that what my overall goal is. My overall goal is to grow this game, and that includes exposure. So when I'm working to do these tournaments, we're putting marketing into this. We're putting a lot of time into getting the game out there to people that don't otherwise play. But I also want to make people understand that I'm going to try and put as much back into this game as we possibly can. All of our cash events, we're going to have them streamed. But I'm going to pay streamers. I'm not just going to have them, try to work for donations and things like that. We'll put it in the budget to pay them to get some money back into the business. One of the things I really have never really enjoyed about this sport, and I've been involved in a lot of businesses that aren't related to pool, and being apologetic or saying, I'm not getting anything out of this, or I've done this for free, I've done this with my own time, or I'm doing this on my own dime. It drives me nuts. There's nothing wrong with people making money for really, really hard work. And so the tournament directors, they're going to get paid. The streamers that do our events, they're going to get paid. I really want the people that put in the effort to get paid. And that includes the winners of the tournaments as well as the people behind the technology and marketing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to have the correct people involved with this series of events, is you're gonna have to make sure that they feel appreciated and take care of them. So that's a very important thing to probably cover.
Yeah, I've never believed in anything for free in my life. It's never been nothing. Nothing's free. Somebody pays for it. And, and I just look at it and go, man, just surround yourself with good people and take care of them. And if you do, then you're going to be successful. If you use people and give them nothing, they'll be gone quicker than they came, and you probably end up with a bad reputation. So, the goal for me is really to spread it around and, and just create a successful environment for pool players and pool promoters, pool streamers, and pool, enthusiasts that really love to watch the game.
Yep. Well said. Absolutely well said. So I guess with that, does that pretty much cover up everything as far as the league goes?
Pretty much does, yeah.
Not really.
The tournament series, not the league.
We're just so jaded to saying leagues because everything is a league here.
Well, let me just go ahead and throw something to clarify, and that is, one of the things that I want to do is I want to support all leagues. I think it's really, really good for pool to have an amateur side to the sport. If we don't have it, you don't have the pros. And so I'll never want to get in the way of a league. I'll never want to interfere with a league. I always want to help promote those leagues. And so if, I'm not looking for someone to say, I want to replace APA Thursdays with a Havoc tournament series. I would be against that if somebody came to me and asked me to do that. I would say, no, that's not going to grow the game. That's going to cause problems. Let's go ahead and do things that are going to be mutually beneficial. So we aren't a league, and that's by design. This is a strict tournament series. You don't pay dues. We don't want anything to do with that sort of thing, because I don't want to see somebody feel like we're a competitor. I want them to feel like we're an asset, and they should reach out to us to help them grow as well.
Absolutely. Well said. So I guess with that, we can wrap this up. It's been a pleasure, as always. I feel like you're on here about once a month, so I feel like we'll be talking again in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I'll come over for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all right. Well,
I'll bring Abby.
Bring the food.
the infamous Abby.
Yeah, bring Abby and bring food. And
okay, I'll do it.
You're good to go, man.
Well, Nate, I really appreciate the time. Thanks for letting me promote this on your podcast. I think you do great, and keep up the good work, buddy.
Certainly, anytime. All right. Well, with that, this brings our interview to a close, and thanks everybody for listening. Check out havocbilliards.com, and I'm looking forward to some swag items pretty soon out of you.
They're already on their way.
Awesome. All right. So, till next time, everyone. Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. If you've liked what you've heard and you want to contribute to the future content that will be made, consider joining the podcast's Patreon at www.patreon.com/QItUp. Becoming a Patreon of the podcast will help to create all of the future content that the podcast will have. Special shout out to Dave Peters, Aaron Taylor, Pete Silsby, Morgan Lupton, Ben Young, Robert Miller, Andy Morse, and Bill Pelham for your generous contributions to the podcast's Patreon. If you ever need any more information on what the Patreon system is, or how you can contribute outside of the Patreon, please reach out to the podcast or Nate himself. If you would like to contribute to the podcast for free, consider sharing any podcasts or the podcast page on Facebook itself. Also, leaving a review and a rating if you listen through iTunes. It helps others find the podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode of the Cue It Up podcast.